This episode is brought to you by Novella Mattresses. I consider Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to be my arch nemesis. Even though I say this, I know we have one thing in common. That is, we both have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. For Grandpa Joe, that's because he is a bad person. For me, it's because I sleep on a mattress made by Novella, today's sponsor. Meet their Bliss Organic Memory Foam Mattress. Perfect for those who want a cool, dry, undisturbed sleep throughout the night, made with organic bamboo charcoal fiber, excellent motion isolation, cooling gel-infused memory foam that fits all bed frames and is reasonably priced between $179 and $369. Perfect for if you want an inexpensive mattress for you, your children, or even for your guest room. Like I said, I personally sleep on a Novella mattress, and it has done wonders for me. Throw out that cheap Walmart mattress you got in college and get yourself a mattress made by Novella. Using promo code Schweezy or the link in our description, you can save 10% on any purchase through Novella directly. Become just like Grandpa Joe on a Novella mattress today. Again, that's 10% off using promo code Schweezy. A reminder, when you use our links, you directly support this show. Hello, and what is going on, my fellow Schwoklords? What is up? Welcome to yet another episode of the Lord's trademark favorite podcast, Cancel Schweezy. I'm welcoming you here today with arms wide open under the sunlight. So welcome to the show today. For those of you who don't know, this is going to be the best show or the best podcast that has ever been made. I know we're going to be talking about peak podcasting, and that is what this is right now. This is peak podcasting right now, and no other podcast ever made are you going to get information in things like this and things that make your life a better place, a better person. There's no other place that you can become a better person than right here, right now, because one thing that you do know is...
Move, bitch! Get out of my fucking way! It's Black History Month!
That's right, it's Black History Month, and we've been thinking about ways how I can make Black History Month about me. We haven't thought about it yet, but we're going to continue doing this podcast regardless of that, and doing it so for everyone. So
What?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Welcome to the show. We got so much to talk about today. So many things that we can talk about, and only a certain amount of time to do it in. What is that certain amount of time? However long it takes for me to talk about the things I'm going to talk about today in what I have prepared in this episode. That's how podcasts work. And
This is the type of guy you get. So,
yeah, you just learned how podcasts work, and with that being said, let's go full throttle.
Let's go full throttle.
So, Cancel Schweezy, the podcast you're listening to right now, welcome to the show. You are listening to us right now. Cancel Schweezy, the only podcast that talks about Bruno. I know many people have seen Encanto. I watched it, but for those of you who don't know, for majority of the month of January, I actually haven't talked about that. Actually, the majority of you know. The majority of you don't know. I was in between health insurance, and I was off my meds, the ones for my crippling anxiety. And with the crippling anxiety, one thing I do notice is I can't focus or pay attention to anything. So that's why those podcasts the last couple of weeks were podcasts in the last couple of weeks. Luckily, it still allows me to ramble on nonstop, but it's probably why I didn't focus. But anyways, I kind of half watched that movie. I might watch it after I finish recording, but so I kind of got it, kind of watched. I need to watch it again because I honestly don't remember a lot. I know the main character is voiced by Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and so there was a weird sexual vibe to it for me. I think Maribel was the name, and so I don't know if I'm allowed to think she's hot or not. But the voice actress was hot, so I don't know what we were allowed to think. But now But like I said, because I didn't pay attention very well, I can talk about Bruno. And maybe after you have to finish this whole episode, but maybe you can too. The people watching just highlights are not going to get this message. This is only for the audio-only listeners because you don't get highlights. You just get me full throttle.
Let's go full throttle.
In just audio form. But and the people who watch the video, the full podcast, you're going to get this too. So only certain people get this. And especially video watchers, you get this. I think this is our somewhat permanent backdrop. It is a nice, beautiful looking brick wall instead of just random ass funny shit. The brick wall is going to be, for the video watchers, you get to see this brick wall behind me. It's going to be our main set, and then, which is actually a green screen, FYI. So it looks less cool because I thought I was going to get a permanent looking cool set, but that ended up not happening. So we're just going to go with a green screen forever, and that's why the cool brick wall is behind me. We may switch it up, on special holiday episodes, like on Christmas. I think we started the green screen near Christmas. We had like a fireplace in the background. Might do that, fireworks for New Year's. So we're still going to keep it up for important holidays. But for the most part, this is going to be our main background. So hopefully that's cool too. So yeah, I think, long story short, I can talk about Bruno. And if you finish this podcast, the full episode, you can talk about Bruno as well. So that's a really cool thing for you and a good incentive for you to listen/watch this entire podcast. Without that, though, you need to go check out my music out on all streaming services. Apple Music, Spotify. Yes, after many controversies and a lot of artists dropping off Spotify, I am still on Spotify. So my music probably won't be leaving Spotify unless something really bad happens. I have opinions on Joe Rogan, and my opinion is that people don't actually listen to his podcast, at least the people complaining. So that is an FYI. And he used the N-word in an okay context, and he probably still shouldn't have said it. He just used it. I mean, he at least used it in a more correct way than other people do. Anyways, though, my music's still on Spotify and YouTube and Amazon, wherever you stream music these days. You kids and your music streaming are everywhere, and all I'm trying to do is keep up, and so that's pretty cool. You can also check me out on social media. It's at TheSchweezy everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. Those are great ways to follow me. That's where you keep up with this show and see what I'm doing and seeing how great of a time I am having all the time, every day, all the time. All day, every day. That's where you get to see me post shit. I post memes in the stories. You get to see my stories. That's really cool. And speaking of other things you can follow, I am switching from Twitch over to Facebook Gaming. And so I have a new Facebook page called Schweezy Live. I think I'll put the link in the description of this episode too, but you need to go follow that page. That's where you can see me stream video games. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and by golly, that is one of my favorite games I have probably ever played. And there's so much to do. It's like Breath of the Wild a little bit to me, where I'm just like sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like 2, 3 a.m. I'm like, oh, I should probably go to bed. And you just forget, like, time just passes. You're just exploring and doing shit like that. It is so much fun. So I'm finishing up the story hopefully this week. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with that game after that. But I will play Fortnite. I play a lot of Fortnite. I play a lot of Pokemon. So it's always between one or the other. So I'm always doing that cool shit. So don't be stingy, and
come on, Mark, don't be stingy.
And go like the page. We're trying to build followers on that page. I'm still boosting up. We're infiltrating algorithms here, this show. That's what you're doing with the social media too. And speaking of infiltrating algorithms, if you don't want to support our Patreon page, Patreon is our great way to say thank you for being a friend and to financially support the show and me in everything I do. If you don't want to do that, the free shit you can help us infiltrate algorithms with is obviously, if you're a video watcher, you can like the episode, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, obviously. big thing like that, you can do that. And we post our highlights of the best parts of the show. Share those with all your friends, even if you don't have any. Share them with people you don't like, Be like, hey, I hate you. Check out this clip from Cancel Schweezy. That's a great way to say thank you for being a friend. Like I said, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. If you're an audio-only listener, obviously, like I said, hit the subscribe button and leave a review. Those reviews on the audio-only platforms really help out every podcast you ever listen to, FYI. That's a little secret. But if you help me out, it's better. It helps out more. And leave us a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 star review to keep everything fresh and neat. And mainly of all, don't be stingy.
Come on, Mark. Don't be stingy.
So with all that being said, let's get into the news. This is previous week right now. What is previous week right now, you may be asking? Well, I will tell you, podcast listener, that the previous week right now is me going over the previous week right now. And, as Phil DeFranco would say,
let's just jump into it.
And I kind of want to start this week. I was looking at news articles. Nothing that important went on this week. And I don't usually say that before this, but I got to say, I really scraped the bottom of the barrel to find some articles this week, folks. So, without further ado,
let's just jump into it.
It's from AV Club. Build-A-Bear launches After Dark ad campaign for berry horny grown-ups. The concept empowering Build-A-Bear Workshop, the 9-figure annual business occupying many of America's most haunted and kiosk-strewn malls, is a simple one. Life is chaos, control is an illusion, and kids will scream their heads off if it means they get to impose a little order on their lives in the form of picking out just the right hat for their new teddy bear best friend. They also sell some genuinely excellent-looking Nintendo plushies, but that's what about the rest of us, who also toil daily in a labyrinth of meaninglessness tossed about by the hateful whims of our corporate gods. Where's the Build-A-Bear for adults, huh? The highly unnecessary question received an answer a few days ago, as it happens when Build-A-Bear released a Facebook ad for its adult line of products, mostly aimed, as far as we can tell, at professional wine moms craving a stuffed rabbit as handshakingly obsessed with rosé as they are. That advertised itself as Build-A-Bear After Dark. Said ad came complete with an image of lion doll dressed in silk pajamas and accompanied by a couple of glasses of champagne and a, let's just go ahead and say, inviting demeanor.
What?
And look, we get that Build-A-Bear just thought they were doing something cute here, maybe a little cheeky for Valentine's Day, but we genuinely, sincerely have to ask, at no point during the design process of this ad did someone pop their head in the room, give it an eyeful say, oh, hey, kind of looks like you're saying people should fuck that lion. The actual offering in the adult Build-A-Bear store are generally pretty tame, although you can get a horny devil bear who prances around in a cape and boxers. Also, we can't help but be weirded out by the way all the clothes disappear off the animals when you mouse over them in your catalog. Oh, we know it's just to display the base stuffy, but then we're not the ones who introduced Build-A-Bear, build a friend with benefits into the mental equation. Anyways, never forget this pearl of wisdom from your favorite 18-plus teddy bear. It's always 1 o'clock somewhere, right? What do I have to say to this, folks? I'm just gonna take a step back and think about what I just read here today. I just read an article that says adults need stuffed animals too. I see all these articles about a grilled cheese for grown-ups. Like, look, a grilled cheese is perfect as it is. And at no point did a grilled cheese say that, hey, I'm for kids only. If you're an adult eating a grilled cheese, you are a child. At no point a grilled cheese said that. So, one, trying to make a grilled cheese an adult grilled cheese is stupid. Second of all, people add fucking onions to a grilled cheese. That's not a grilled cheese. That's a grilled cheese and onion sandwich. So, shut the fuck up. Second of all, so at what point are people like, you know what? I want a teddy bear, but I also want people to also think I'm an adult. And so you send them a sexy teddy bear. And at first, when I hear the words, this may just be how broken I am in my mind, but when I hear the term adult teddy bear, I think that you're going to fuck the teddy bear. Now, what do I mean by fuck the teddy bear? Now, if it's for men, I don't think men... Okay, there are probably some men. I don't think... Okay, I shouldn't generalize genders here. I'm sorry for the genderifying of sex teddy bears. I am sorry for my microaggressions. What I will say, though, is... I guess if it's for a man, they'd build in a fleshlight to it. But then it's like you're fucking a teddy bear, and I don't really want to fuck a teddy bear. Now, they could build a teddy bear that vibrates, and that could be for women, too. But then at that point, the woman's like scissoring a teddy bear. And is this the America we want? Is this the America we're building here? Is this the Build Back Better America that Joe Biden is going for? That we get to fuck teddy bears? I don't think this is what he had in mind. Honestly, if I brought up the idea, hey, Joe Biden, what about teddy bears you can fuck? I think he would malfunction. I think Joe Biden would malfunction if you brought up the idea of fucking a teddy bear. I don't think Joe Biden knows what furries are. And to be honest with you, I think that's a little bit okay that Joe Biden doesn't know what a furry is, because his brain would turn into the MacBook click wheel when like your computer is frozen. It's just that click wheel that keeps turning and turning and turning. That's what would happen to Joe Biden's brain if you brought up furries. That's my thoughts on the situation. But anyways, though, a lot of them are like, but they're not Build-A-Bear dolls that you can fuck. They just have the adult themes of it's wine o'clock always. Okay. It's like, I can't deal with your problems unless I had my wine. So a lot of weird things. It's wine o'clock somewhere, right? I guess. So anyways, can you fuck these bears? Yes. Can you build it at Build-A-Bear specifically for fucking? Kind of. That's what we have learned here today, folks, that you can kind of fuck a teddy bear at Build-A-Bear Workshop. So,
come on, Mark, don't be stingy.
All right. Well, this is from NBC News. Pastor holds bonfire to burn to witchcraft books like Twilight. After far-right pastor hosted a book-burning event encouraging parishioners to toss books like Harry Potter and Twilight into a fire to denounce what he described as demonic materials, Greg Locke, head pastor of Global Vision Bible Church, held a book-burning event Wednesday night and urged followers to burn evil garbage like young adult fantasy books, tarot cards, voodoo dolls, and crystal. Bring all your Harry Potter stuff. Laugh all you want, haters. I don't care. It's witchcraft, 100%. Locke said in an Instagram post Monday, all you Twilight books and movies, that mess is full of spells, demonism, shape-shifting, and occultism. In a video live stream on Facebook, churchgoers hurled books and other items deemed associated with witchcraft into a massive bonfire on a church parking lot in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Oh boy, Nashville's neighbor. The burning begins about an hour into the live stream. At the event, at least one counter-protester claimed to throw a Bible into the flames, Nashville scene reported. We have a constitutional right and a biblical right to do what we're going to do tonight, Locke said in a live stream video. We have a burn permit, but even without one, a church has a religious right to burn occultic materials that they deem are a threat to their religious rights and freedoms and beliefs. This is not the first time Locke has made headlines. The pastor has permanently banned from Twitter for spreading COVID vaccine misinformation. He previously described the vaccine as sugar water and said that he'd turn away churchgoers if they wore masks to his services. He also criticized Republican Tennessee Governor Bill Lee as coward, noodle, waffler. Waffler. For signing an executive order that would allow the National Guard to assist overwhelmed hospitals during a COVID outbreak. Locke claimed that children with autism are possessed by demons. This is the diagnosis doesn't exist in the Bible. On Twitter, this is getting worse, folks. I don't know. On Twitter, On Twitter, users raised concerns about the event. Some drew similarities between the book burning at Global Vision Bible Church and the ones held in Germany during the Nazi regime. Locke's book burning event comes amid a growing efforts to ban certain books from schools. Books about racism and sexuality are being pulled from Texas school shelves in record numbers. The majority of books are targeted to feature LGBTQ characters or explicit descriptions of sex. Some of the books aren't explicit, include pictures books about black historical figures and transgender children. Last month, the Tennessee School Board voted to remove Mouse, a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the Holocaust, from its 8th grade reading list over profanity and nudity. So I guess I got to talk about this since I'm from the area. So here's one thing with, when we talk about witchcraft, I for those of you who don't know, new to the show or don't know me very well, I grew up in church and I believed in that stuff for much longer than I probably should have. But I was full throttle.
This is the type of guy you get. Let's go full throttle
into all this. So it's nothing I haven't seen before. I remember, back in the 90s and stuff like that, we'd burn all our secular CDs that word, and we only listen to our Christian CDs. So this isn't anything super new to me, and I'm not that shocked that they held like a burning to like burn their Harry Potter books or like tarot cards and fantasy shit, whatever. It's not that new to me. And so, I understand certain things. Like I get when they say they're gonna burn their voodoo dolls, tarot cards, and crystals and shit like that. That makes sense to me because those can be used for somewhat, what people think is demonic and stuff like that. So even in their beliefs, they're somewhat right there. But when they talk about like Harry Potter, Twilight, and other like fantasy type books, like they're written by authors who are 100% like, this stuff is made up, right? This is a fictional story. Just because it has witchcraft and shit like that, it's still a fictional story. I remember because my mom just wanted me and my brother to read all the time, and I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so big fan of the books. And so I remember my mom telling me, like a rational human being, that hey, you're okay. You can read Harry Potter. That's no problem with us. And we just want you to know that stuff is fake. Which I'm like, yeah, I knew that pretty well. But then they're like, some people, especially other Christians, aren't going to agree with Harry Potter. And so they're going to make a big deal out of it. Just let you know that coming in and know that this is fake and it's okay reading this. It's okay as other people have different beliefs. I'm like, okay, it's just, I get like, hey, you don't have to like everything Harry Potter or Twilight or whatever. Twilight's actually pretty stupid. It's if you like it as an if you don't like it seriously. Most of my friends my age, if we like Twilight, we like it because of how cringy it was, and we liked it as kids and shit like that. And that's why we like it now. But I don't know how many Harry Potter fans actually believe anything in Harry Potter is real. Like, we're aware it's a fictional story, and so it's not like a huge surprise to any of us. So I don't get that. How can they not like figure out that the book of Harry Potter is not real? There's no Hogwarts doesn't exist, and stuff like that. And I don't get that. So the book burning, the witchcraft stuff burning is okay, and I'm not too shocked by it. A lot of crazy fucking Christians out there, but I'm not too surprised with the book burning. I just think it's funny, like that. So I don't, I was around when they had the big secularism. Like, why would you listen? Like, you would like a band, like, oh, you like Blink 182? Why don't you listen to MXPX or Reliant K? They're like the Christian version of them. It's like, we don't need a Christian version of something. And I know MXPX and Reliant K are great bands. I still love them to this day. And, but, it's just some bands did not age well because they were trying to be the Christian version of another band. I'm like, it's like being the shitty version of something. Why don't you like, yeah, they're the shitty version of this band. And then and you learn a lot of these artists don't even believe half the shit they're singing about and stuff like that. And they're just doing it because it's a career. And like, if they're like, well, if we come out as, like agnostic or atheist right now, we will lose a lot of money. And so that's always something you have to think about when you think in there and think about that. So it's really weird, and so it's like not that shocking that they're still doing this shit these days. I just think it's funny he called him a Bill Lee a waffler. Like, what year is this? What year are you from? He thinks autism are possessed by demons. Like, look, sometimes children, regardless if they have autism or not, they are demons. So you kind of are right there. But like, what is the hate with autism? Like, it's not that, I mean, they can be annoying, but you could be like, man, that kid annoys me. He has autism. Like, my statement still stands. But at the point where you're like, I wish kids with autism didn't exist, and like people are like, the vaccines cause autism, and it's like, whoa, so you would hate your child so much for having autism? Just like, I don't know, like maybe you shouldn't be a parent, maybe. And yeah, and then you'd be like, it's sugar water they're injecting you with. So that's the thing with the vaccine's just sugar water. Like, you take it, I mean, you get it, it doesn't work. You don't take, okay, if you take it and they're lying. So if you don't take it, I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is, if you take it and it doesn't work, it's whatever. But if you don't take it and it does work, then you're worse off than you are. I guess we're just gonna have to wait for anti-vaxxers to die. That's really all we can do. We have to infect them, and then I think medical staff needs to just treat them as second-class citizens. And I'm like, well, if an ICU room opens up, we're gonna kind of give that to the people who are vaccinated first, and then you can go second. That's the only thing I can think of if we're ever gonna end shit like this. But that's me. That's who I can do. But yeah, and Mouse, I read that my senior year in high school. Great novel. It was a great graphic novel, and I think everyone should read it. I think nice thing is we all kind of have internet on our phones or iPads and computers. You can read Mouse online. Pretty much all graphic novels are online. That's how I read comics today. I just pull up my iPad, pull up the series I want to read, and then I go through it. That's how I read comic books today. You can even find YouTube videos of people narrating it with the pictures and everything like that. So it's not going to be hard for you to actually read Mouse, but they're going to ban it from schools over profanity and nudity. Look, I played online video games with kids. They've seen a lot worse. When I was a kid in middle school, I saw 2 Girls, 1 Cup. And for those of you who don't know, it's the trailer for a movie called Hungry Bitches. And a woman poops into a glass and then eats it and then vomits it into another woman's mouth. So if I could handle that as a kid, I'm pretty sure kids can handle profanity and nudity, especially animal profanity and nudity. So y'all are full of a lot of bullshit. This is from CNN. Southwest Airlines bringing back alcohol on planes.
What?
Southwest Airlines is bringing back alcoholic beverages on flights this month after suspending their sale in March 2020. Beer, wine, and hard liquor will be offered again starting on February 16th, the airline said in a news release. American Airlines is the only one of the 4 largest U.S. carriers that has not resumed alcohol sales. On Southwest, non-alcoholic beverages services will also be expected on February 16th to include options such as tonic water, Coke Zero, and hot chocolate. The beverage service is available on flights of 176 miles or more. Customers have expressed a desire for more beverage options, so we're delighted to restore additional onboard offerings as a part of the Southwest hospitality that our customers know and love, said Tony Roach, Vice President of Southwest Customer Experience and Customer Relations, in the news release. The union representing Southwest Airlines flight attendants say resuming alcohol service is unsafe and irresponsible. Lynn Montgomery of TWU Local 556 says the union fought Southwest on the move, saying that it makes it hard to enforce the federal mask mandate on board as it puts flight attendants at risk. We have adamantly and unequivocally informed management that the resuming sales of alcohol while the mask mandate is in place has a great potential to increase customer non-compliance and misconduct issues, Montgomery said in a statement. Other airlines have resumed serving alcohol. United Airlines resumed sales of hard liquor in November, Delta Airlines resumed serving beer and wine to first class and Delta Comfort Plus customers on domestic flights in July 2020, and then added alcohol sales back to the main cabin offering on some domestic flights in April 2021. American Airlines, the last big holdout on alcohol services, told CNN Friday that it hasn't set a date for the return of alcohol in its main cabins. We will continue to evaluate the situation and work closely with the union that represents our flight attendants, the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, and medical experts on this process to determine when we will return to full service to the main cabin, the airline said in a statement. Incidents involving alcohol have been among the more serious cases of unruly passenger behavior during the pandemic. In November, the Federal Aviation Administration proposed a total of $161,823 in fines against passengers involved in alcohol-related incidents. Last year was the worst on record for unruly passenger behavior. Early in 2021, the FFA announced a zero-tolerance policy for unruly passenger behavior that skip warnings or counseling and goes directly to penalties, which can include heavy fines and jail time. Okay, so last June, I was in Kansas City and I flew Southwest because I know what I'm worth. And the reason I pulled this article today is mainly because I was drinking that entire flight. How did I do it, you may be asking? Here, I will tell you how I did that. So you can buy, so you obviously have to buy your liquor first. And so I bought I bought a bottle of Jack Daniels or something like that, and then I went on Amazon. You can buy little reusable liquor bottles that you can bring on planes and stuff like that. And look, they said it wasn't allowed on a Southwest Airlines flight. I looked online. However, with TSA, as long as you had it in the appropriate Ziploc bag, they did not give a shit if you brought it. So, because it's not a bomb, and I had it in the proper bag and everything. So therefore, I brought that on. And tricks I used. I bought a bottle of Coke, before the flight. I think I bought cherry Coke, so I kind of wanted to be a little bit fancy, and so drank a little bit out of it, poured one bottle in there, so I had one Jack and Coke, drank that throughout the flight, and then by the time they're already going around giving beverages, and so, I'm like, I'll have a Diet Coke or whatever, so I got a Diet Coke, and I was worried about my health, and so I got that, drank a little bit of it, and there's people all around me, and so I just brought it out, poured it in while the flight attendant was gone, and I was still drinking, so I was drinking more on the flight. So that was a fun flight, FYI. I don't think people understand drinking on the plane is fun. But here's the problem with people drinking on planes. I kept my mask on. I only took it off to take my drink, and then I put it back on. I'm not a pussy. I eat pussy. If you have a problem with wearing a mask, I don't like wearing a mask, but if you have a problem, if you can't wear a mask, then you're a pussy, and you've never made a woman have an orgasm, and you got to eat pussy to win the game. You got to get the honey pot. That's all. That's what it's all about. So, I wonder if the problem is, I think with alcohol is that people act like jackasses when they're drunk. That's the problem. I've realized that there's two types of ways I get drunk. One is having that nice amount of buzz so you can hang out with your friends and have a good time without overdoing it. The second is you're home alone and you're just going to drink so much until you need to fall asleep. Those are the two types you can drink. And I'm a good drunk, I tell you. I may pass out in inappropriate places, but I'm a great drunk. Some people are terrible drunks, and if you're a terrible drunk, you shouldn't be drinking on airplanes. If you're a good drunk like me, you can, because one, I wasn't talking to anyone anyways. I was just watching Dave on Hulu or whatever. And I on my iPad, so I was sitting there watching that, got a good buzz going. I'm just nice and relaxed and stuff like that. So that's how you do it. So people are sneaking booze on to the plane. The question is, should you get in trouble for it? If you have a tendency to get in trouble when you drink, don't drink on your flight. If you're a good drunk, then have fun. Just all you have to do is wait, and as long as you're not annoying to other people around you, they probably aren't going to tell. So. Mainly.
Come on, Mark. Don't be stingy.
And that goes for both sides of the argument, I guess. Last article we have. Furries raise money for libraries after mayor threatens to withhold funds due to the LGBTQ plus books. This is from Clarion Ledger. Never heard of them. The furry community has taken charge of leading fundraiser efforts for the Madison County library system and raised thousands of dollars as funding for the libraries hang in limbo. The system entered the spotlight after Ridgeland Mayor Gene McGee said he would withhold $110,000 in annual funding after books with LGBTQ plus themes and authors were put on display. Furries are a diverse community of writers, artists, and role players who take an interest in anthropomorphized animals like wolves and cats. Furries are often part of the LGBTQ plus community. McGee said he received complaints about books with LGBTQ themes or authors which had been part of a new book displayed in the Ridgeland in September. He said he doesn't believe any sexually explicit material should be available in the library where children may be exposed to it. In my capacity as mayor, I simply believe the books are inappropriate for children, McGee said in a statement. So a Florida tech industry worker and furry community member who prefers to go by his online handle, saw a tweet about the situation and took action to raise awareness. I have friends in Mississippi, and I know that this act of bigotry doesn't speak for all Mississippi residents, he said. So instead of dismissing the entire state because of the actions of one bad politician, I decided to explore the possibility of donating to offset the withheld amount. His search led him to Friends of the Original Library, a local nonprofit which had a fundraiser launched by Every Library, a national nonprofit political action committee for libraries days after the decision gained national attention. When Soatalk made his initial donation of $500 on a $2,500 goal on January 27th, there weren't any other backers other than him. Less than 24 hours after posting a screenshot of his donation, the fundraiser had 189 backers and had raised more than $9,000. Furries are known to swarm charitable causes that resonate with the community, so Talk said, and have raised upwards of $80,000 in a single weekend during conventions. As a result of the furry community penchant for charity, I started this believing that reaching the $110,000 that the mayor is withholding was possible. There was no doubt that we could pull this off, he said. I didn't expect to make so much progress so quickly. However, as of Friday, the campaign of nearly 1,800 people who have pledged $78,200 and counting. It continues until February 14th. So a good story. I gotta say though, this is a good heartfelt story, but I kind of feel like furries are trying to come off as like, we're not sexual. It's all sexual. Like the whole thing is sexual. And even with like, we're part of the LGBTQ community, and like, in the LGBTQ community, like some gays and lesbians don't even really think the trans belong there either. Sometimes, some of them. I'm not speaking for all of them. I'm just saying I'm okay with all of them because I don't have a problem with anyone that's not, unless they're Republican. Those are the problem people most of the time. So just another heartfelt story to end our news on. Did you know that 40% of the food in the U.S. goes uneaten? I did, and I don't think that is very cash money, considering $218 billion is the exact dollar amount being thrown away. But now, I know you're asking yourself, what can I do to help? Well, today's sponsor, Imperfect Foods, is here to solve that problem. Imperfect Foods is helping to prevent food waste, and so far, their customers have saved 139 million pounds of food. They're affordable and convenient, making sustainability more accessible. What I love most is that they meet a lot of different dietary needs. In moments I'm stingy with my diet, I always go full throttle on a low-carb diet. They can even hook you up if you're vegan or vegetarian as well. Here's the best part. When you sign up using the link in the description, you get an $80 credit. Holy guacamole from the avocados you can get from Imperfect Food. That is an incredible deal that you should be taking advantage of. So sign up for Imperfect Foods today. Help stop food waste and get an $80 credit. Remember, when you use our links and promos, you directly support this show. You all know that I'm built different. but I bet you are coming to me to learn how to be built different as well. The only way to be built different is to get yourself some supplements from today's sponsor, FNX Fitness. FNX Fitness is committed to creating innovative supplements of the highest quality that provide focus for a productive morning, energy to thrive all day, performance supplements to reach new goals, unique sleep and recovery formulas to support any sport, and healthy supplements to support an active lifestyle for years to come. I also really enjoy their clothing line that makes you look good while working out as well. Another thing I love about FNX Fitness is that with every purchase, they donate a gallon of water to a child in need. Start working out smarter, not harder. By using the link in our description today, you can save 15% on your purchase. So go save 15% on some of the best supplements out there when using the link in our description. And remember, when you use our links, you directly support this show. So we're somewhat of scientists here over at Cancel Schweezy, and one thing that is for sure is that we are always trying to get to the bottom and do our research due diligently and in the only way we know possible. So this week on Black History Month,
Move, bitch, get out of my fucking way. It's Black History Month.
we are going over the origins of men being called daddy. You know, some of you my nickname. But though there's a history behind it, because at one point I had to think, who actually calls someone daddy during sex? Because I joke around. I've made a joke, and it's a great joke. All my jokes are great, if you haven't noticed. That you start using daddy as like a gender neutral term for everyone. So just like when your friends like, hey, can you go get me a Diet Coke from the fridge? Thanks, daddy. You know, you just call your friends that. You know, it works. And you have friends who are women, you can call them daddy too, which I always think is fun. Like, hey, Sarah, go get me that. Thanks, daddy. And it's just, you know, it's a great gender neutral term. And then that evolved. And then what is a mommy? And that was also a good question as well. What is a mommy? And mommy is what you refer to as, I would say, people you're attracted to, you call mommy. So I would be like, Mommy Brie Larson, Mommy Scarlett Johansson, Mommy Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you know, who was also in Encanto. And we're still deciding if I'm allowed to find that character hot or not, because, but we'll still talk about Bruno. And I bet someone called Bruno daddy at one point, and so it's a good observation for us to decide who do we call daddy? What is a daddy? How do we move forward? What is the origin of the word daddy? You know, a couple weeks ago we went over the origins of the birds and the bees, which we now decided we will be referring to as the girls in the cup, and So what about daddy? So I did my research on the word daddy, and with all of that, you know, you had to do research. I put hours and hours into it. Hours, I mean, I Googled it, and I copy and pasted one article into my script or slash episode. It's like a script slash episode guide that I go through all these episodes with. And I haven't read it, but I want to learn about what daddy is, what it means to be a daddy. Right here, right now, on this podcast right now. So Cancel Schweezy coming. This is a Cancel Schweezy exclusive coming to you live while I'm recording this. I don't do many edits, FYI. On what is daddy. And so we're going to learn what daddy is together, because daddy, referring to myself as daddy, wants to know all the origins of daddy. Well, you think, so going into this, I guess before I even read this article, I want to say that when you initially hear daddy, you're like people call each other, women call men daddy during sex. That's the original term. And you get to that point. Like, why would you call him daddy? Like, are you pretending that she's your daughter? and you're her father, and then you're like, what woman wants to have sex with their father? That's fucking weird. I know it happens in the South. I'm aware of the South, and all that happens inside the South, but we don't know the origins of it. So you think it's like, oh, we're father and daughter having sex, like, and then why is it attractive to be called a girl's father and stuff like that? And yeah, that's the info we're going into today. This is what we're starting into this with. So let's do some research.
Let's just jump into it.
So I found one article by Vice. They sometimes have good things, but let's see what the origins of being a daddy is. So without further ado, let's go into this. Why Women Like to Call a Man Daddy During Sex by Bethy Squires. So she was the other scientist researching this information, and let's go over it. Pet names are pretty common among people who fuck each other. Just this is the first line. Pet names are pretty common among people who fuck each other. Okay. Baby, honey, little puddin', tater. Who the fuck calls their partner tater? Hey, tater, come here. I mean, I've called a girl Chewy, so not during sex, but it's a nickname I gave her. Little puddin'. Hey, little puddin'. One pet name, however, has proven to be more controversial than others. Daddy. Why do some women call their dudes daddy during sex? I've heard from a fair amount of men who were turned off by it and were worried that it was an indicator of daddy issues, says sex therapist Vanessa Marin. Yes, daddy can mean father, but we also use the word to indicate when someone is the boss, in charge, a protector, or doing a good job. That usually the meaning women are going for in the bedroom. Is a bit of a 70s porn cliche. I've never run across a woman who called her partner daddy because she genuinely liked fantasizing that he was her father. Freud is the originator of the theory that we all want to bone down with our parents. We also came up with penis envy, the idea that all women are crippled with an obsessive need to have a dong, which is one of the many reasons most of his work has been sidelined by modern psychology. However, his presence still looms over popular discussion of mental health online. Even the people who deny that daddy issue have anything to do with calling their partner daddy during sex, having an air of doth protesting too much. I don't know. I enjoy calling my ex so daddy, my ex so daddy because I thought it sounded hot, says one Redditor. I don't have a father and I don't have a daddy. I don't have daddy issues. The general consensus on Reddit was that women call their partners daddy because they are into submitting to male authority figures. Sir/master just doesn't have the same affectionate tone to it. Know what I mean? Says one Redditor. Some girls want to call their man daddy in a way that has nothing to do with their father, but as a way that communicates she is submissive to your masculinity, says another. The most extreme version of this mindset is the DDIG kink community. DDIG stands for Daddy Dom DDLG. But Daddy Dom is capital, but LG for little girl is lowercase. Usually with only the daddy getting capitalization. With this kink, men take care of their littles, providing toys and discipline. The littles, in turn, bring a joyful innocence to the relationship. The DDLG secret personals and blogs for women who describe themselves as being mentally aged 3 to 6, physically all grown up. This grosses me out more than if they wanted to fuck their dad, but that probably just because my personal fetish is being respected as an adult. You have an actual fetish, and that's not it. It also feeds into a problem society has with sexualizing children and rendering grown women childlike. What does it say about our society if we fetishize helplessness and submitting to someone else's will? And is it a coincidence that DDLG looks like a text abbreviation of the word diddling? While researching this story, I could tell my personal biases were getting in the way, so I did what any adult who wanted to be taken seriously would do. I talked to my mommy. Dr. Margaret Squires has been doing couples therapy for over 35 years and working with survivors of childhood sexual abuse for over 30. She doesn't believe there's anything particularly pedophiliac about daddy talk. I think that when the language comes up, it's just as likely to be in a healthy relationship. You're getting back to every early warm attachment. She also didn't necessarily have a problem with DDLG dynamic. Sometimes people are merely recognizing a pattern in their relationship. That's why we have relationships, so we can rely on each other. It's not necessarily for everyone to be equally strong in all things. There is a risk in letting these patterns become rigid in the relationship. My mother calls it de-selfing. People in these relationships erase any part of themselves that bothers the other person. They fail to recognize that they have rights. She recognized that daddies could possibly de-self, erasing the childlike part of themselves that needs to be nurtured. But one tends to be the women de-selfing because in this society, that's what women do. Women are trained from a very early age to put other people's needs before their own and to erase themselves from situation. Your grandfather used to call his wife slug. My mom continued, it's not particularly important to worry about what people call each other. It's important to recognize our own individuality and find a partner who supports that. I don't know if that answered any of my fucking questions. Let me go back. I know a little bit. I never heard the term DDLG, Daddy Dom Little Girl. I've heard Daddy Dom Little Girl, but I never heard DDLG. I've been on that side of TikTok, and I'm going to tell you folks, you don't need to go there on that side of TikTok. I've been seeing like there's a trending TikTok. What side of TikTok did you not try to get on? I've seen this TikTok and people are replying to it, and I don't want to reply where I've been to that side. Don't want to reply that I'm currently on Down syndrome TikTok. Nothing wrong with the Down syndrome community. I have no problem with them. I just don't know why the TikTok algorithm is sending that stuff my way. That's just a problem with the TikTok algorithm, not with anyone in particular. And so I guess so. It's more of, I guess we're kind of, what I did kind of learn from this, that some men are just creepy and weird, and that's just how it is.
This is the type of guy you get.
It's just more of a dom situation. Now, it's weird because I hear a lot about women. It's very obvious. There's like these women's rights and stuff like that. We're not talking about women's wrongs. We're talking about women's rights. And you hear mostly like when, women, you hear about women should be equally paid and shit like that. Then it comes to sex. And a lot more women want to be subs. They want to be subs in the bedroom, which is a very weird thing. No judgment towards anyone. And I'm 100% on equal pay for women. Women should be able to do anything a man can do. Paying standing up is going to be a little bit difficult, but you can if you want to. So that's that. Yeah, I just think it's funny how when it comes to sex, women all of a sudden want to be dominated by a man. It's okay. We all will do anything. Not everyone can be the top. Some people have to be the bottom sometime. I feel though in our world there are more bottoms than there are tops. We're all Tupperware, and we just can't find our lids when it comes to that. But, yeah, so I think now, going into this, when I call my friends daddy, I feel like I am complimenting them because I think they're great and responsible human beings, and they deserve all the respect that I give them. Because you can't spell daddy without Schweezy. That's a thing. So what have we learned here? Should you say daddy during sex? No. If a woman said daddy during sex with me, I would puke laughing because that shit is hilarious. I will call my friends daddy, and daddy should be a gender neutral term. And I will continue to call women I find attractive mommy, especially if cartoon women especially deserve mommy, especially when you play a Pokemon game and you see a woman character you like. You have to call her mommy, like Mommy Cynthia from Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And I can't remember her name in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and you can always watch me stream on Schweezy Live. It's the Facebook page that you can always watch me stream any of this shit on, which is really cool. And that's the lesson on the word daddy. Should you use it in the bedroom? No. Should you call your friends daddy to show respect? 100% absolutely. Oh, next thing I want to talk about is I found a show on TLC, which stands for the Learning Channel. For those of you who didn't know, TLC is short for the Learning Channel. And, I found a TV show. This show was advertised to me on TikTok. TikTok is a never-ending black hole of just content. You can stay on there for hours. It's like these videos aren't longer than 3 minutes. 3 minutes is the limit. But you can somehow waste hours of your life sitting there looking at TikToks. They made something brilliant. And you just keep scrolling and it never runs out. It just keeps swiping up and never runs out. And I saw this show advertised to me. The show is on TLC. Like I said, is short for the Learning Channel. Sometimes and to be honest with you, I like to watch Dr. Pimple Popper, and because I just want to see gross things come out of people's bodies. And the fact is, I learn a lot from that show, especially about dermatology and stuff like that. My friends get cysts or lipomas, they have small ones. I'm like, what's that bump? And then I kind of look at it. I'm like, I think that's a lipoma or a cyst. It's most likely benign, so it's not cancers or anything. So it's either one of those or the other, but you're going to have to go to a dermatologist or a surgeon. They're going to have to remove it for you. So I do learn a lot. My friends don't have to go to a dermatologist anymore. However, I do want some friends I want to force some friends to watch it with me. I have watched some, but I want more friends to force to watch with me just to see them get grossed out. There's another show My Feet Are Killing Me. That's all just foot surgery. I thought they were going to because I watch videos of they trim out ingrown hairs. Sometimes they do it so smoothly, and I'm like, that's gotta feel good. But no, it's just removing toes and shit in bunions. So that show is pretty heavy. Then they have 90 Day Fiancé, which is just stupid people. You don't learn anything on that show. That show is zero learning whatsoever. But then they started to air this one show called I Am Shauna Rae. And I saw it advertised to me on TikTok. And, it's a show that's a little bit of learning and a little bit of just reality trash TV. And I gotta say, I'm very much interested in this show. So, to give a little summary of what this show is about, it's this 22-year-old woman named Shauna Rae, but she goes by Shauna for short. So I don't know. They could have just that I Am Shauna. They could have just called the show that. So Shauna, when she was 6 months old, she was diagnosed with some sort of brain cancer. And basically, they got that taken care of. And I don't believe she doesn't have it anymore. I think she gets regular checkups on that, but she does not have brain cancer anymore. So that's a good thing. However, something happened with that brain cancer that sort of made it weird for her to develop correctly. And so she stopped growing properly. So she was always smaller than the rest of her classmates. And so they had it's a pituitary. I'm saying that word right, a pituitary problem that did not allow her to grow correctly. And so she got some hormones, I guess, or some sort of medication that helped her with her growing. But by the time she was 16, they did check them, and then all her bones were fully fused. Because you were born with more bones than it's weird, you lose bones, they fuse together. Doesn't it feel though, when you're a baby, you would have less bones, and when you get older, you'd get more bones just because you're getting bigger? That's not how it works. You're born with a lot of bones, and then they fuse together. And so I guess by the time she was 16, it was just 100% her body's we're done. And so she's 22 years old, and she has the body of an 8-year-old. She does have some boobs, little boobs. I haven't seen her naked, FYI, so I don't know fully. Boobs, like I said, until you see everything off, you don't know what a woman's boob sizes are. Okay, some women, they get proper bras and they know how to make their boobs look bigger. Sometimes I've even learned that, like, if they're wearing certain things with like their cleavage is showing, like they can use makeup to make it look better too and bigger than it is. And then so you don't know what a woman's boobs look like until you take the shirt off. So I don't know how big her boobs are, but I guess she has some. But the show is super interesting because what's it like to be 22 years old but you look 8? Because like you have to imagine, like, you go anywhere in this world and they'll be like, she's going out with her friends, she wants to go get a drink at a bar with her friends, and then they're like, children can't sit at the bar, and she has to be like, I'm 22, and everyone's gonna be like, no you're not. And then so she has to like, I guess, show her ID and shit like that. And I'm like, and at that point, like, this has to be fake. And then, like, because you see, like, an 8-year-old, but like, I'm actually 22, and you're like, huh? Stuff like that. And stuff like that. And so it's really funny because you would assume that at some point she'd just get used to that answer. You know, I'm 22. I was born with this problem when I was born, and now blah blah blah. Now I'm here. So yeah, but. I don't know if it's just the editing on the show, but they always act like it's a big deal when everyone's like, you're not 22. And I'm like, at some point you got to get used to it, just being like, well, yeah, I was born with a problem, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you go forward with that. But then they act like it's a big deal anytime it happens. They go into her dating life a lot. Don't know if I'm going to have to. So yeah, they do go into her dating life a lot, which is really funny because you have to think here. She doesn't, the way she dates, like, she's like, yeah, you would think, okay, so you think with a girl who looks 8 years old, but she's actually 22, that she would have no problem with finding a guy. The thing we don't realize is the guys that are into 8-year-old girls are creeps. And she makes that very clear on the show. And I'm like, yeah, that checks out. That makes a lot of sense. Like, because you don't think, like, yeah, she wouldn't have a problem with dating. There's some weird guy out there who's like, I want a fucking 8-year-old. But you're like, you're 22? It's like a dream come true. It's like, I can fuck an 8-year-old and not go to jail. And then you realize, like, those guys are creepy. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I watched a lot of murder shows. I would know that those guys are creeps. And she lets us know that that they're creeps. So, like, you get to watch her date. She, like, goes on dating apps, stuff like that, and like the shenanigans. That's, like, my favorite part of the shenanigans. And it, like, the whole thing, like, if you're a guy on the other end, your mind is the Apple rainbow click wheel that shows you something is loading, because you don't know if you are allowed to, like, be attracted to her or not. You're like, if you say she's attractive, and you're like, oh, you're into 8-year-olds. I'm like, well, no, I know her situation's weird, but then you're also, because it's also like, if you want to date her, it's like, are you into 8-year-olds? You're like, no. But if you say she's attractive, then it says you think an 8-year-old is attractive. It's like a confusing state. Like, legally on paper, saying you're attracted to this specific person is not. But then everyone's going to accuse you of being attracted to an 8-year-old, and then it's just a whole lot of nonsense. But anyways, I don't think I told myself, you know what, I would date her, and one reason. Not even like in her personality or anything. I would do it because I think it would be funny to call her Master Yoda, and then carry her around like Luke did in Empire Strikes Back while he's doing his Jedi training. Like, come on, Master Yoda, and then just start talking all this shit about his Master Yoda. Well, that's me, and I think it would also be funny for people to think I'm, like, going on dates with an 8-year-old, like what other people think, when it's not, like, the truth or whatever. And you're like, did you just buy that 8-year-old a glass of wine? Are you making out with that 8-year-old right now? I think that would be really funny. But I don't know if she would be into that. That's like a weird thing. So I'm like, I wouldn't be opposed to dating someone like that. But it's also weird being like, I don't know if I want to and everyone's gonna be like, oh, you like her because she looks 8 years old. I'm like, God fucking damn it, that'd be a problem. But I guess like every relationship has a little bit of baggage, so it's whatever. I'm more into, like we talked about last week on my perfect woman graph. There has to be a good personality, because if it's a boring person, I will kill myself. But it's really funny. The one weird thing I think, before we go, I want to go back into like more dating shenanigans, is that she has the voice of an 8-year-old. Like, you would assume that her voice would be normal, but I guess, growing and stuff like that, like the voice wouldn't drop correctly for like an adult woman. So that's very weird. And I was wondering, like, how do you change that? Because I know when we talk about trans men and women, that if you're a woman and you're transitioning into a man, testosterone will drop your voice. However, it does not work vice versa. So if you are a man, transitioning, that's the word. I was like converting into a woman. If you're transitioning to a woman, your voice doesn't get higher. That's why you hear like with trans women have weirder, more like you could tell a trans woman from a trans man a little bit easier, just because the voice doesn't drop. And I don't know if is a way to fix that permanently. But I don't know if we should be giving Shauna testosterone though. I don't know if how that would work and stuff like that. And I had a thought like, maybe I'm low on testosterone, but then I learned testosterone could make you lose your hair. And I'm like, I'll just be a woman. I'll just be kind of womany or whatever they want me to be. So yeah, that's another funny thing. And they were only on 4 episodes though, and like the 5th episode, they're picking like she gets mad at a bar because she can't see over the bar or something like that. I'm excited to see that. That's next week. I'm excited to see that. What other things did I think of this show? It was really funny. She has some boobs. She talks about she has some boobs, and she talks about like getting clothing and stuff like that, because she wants to dress like an adult, which would make sense because she is an adult. However, clothes in her size, she's like 3 foot something, would be like, the sizes would be in the kids section. And kids' clothes are different than adult clothes for many reasons. Like, when you're an adult woman, you can dress as slutty and as hot as you want, and it's okay. And I encourage it. I know you're thinking I'm going to shame you. No, I encourage it. Just let me see it. Dress like you want. I want to see that shit. But then, when you're a kid, no one wants to see a kid like that. So this is where we get to Shauna's situation, because Shauna needs to dress her age, and sometimes girls gotta dress slutty. It's mating season, and a woman has to dress that way. However, for kids who are 8 years old, I would not let if I had an 8-year-old, I'm like, you're not allowed to dress like a slut until you're 18. That's just the rules. I believe that you're not allowed to be if you're a parent. You have a kid, I don't want you like suppressing their creativity or their individuality, but they're not allowed to be attractive. That's all genders of children. If you have a child, they're not allowed to be attractive until they turn 18. Those are the rules that I made up, and I think it's a solid rule. But it's really funny. So anyways, though, back to it. I think Shauna does have boobs. The size, I don't know. But the question I wonder is, and it's really funny, they go to the beach on like one episode, and like she's getting a lot of attention from younger boys because they're like, a girl my age, but she has boobs and tattoos and stuff like that. And she has tattoos, which is a good way to show like, oh yeah, I'm an adult, or I have a terrible mother. Like, those are the two people who look like that, who have tattoos. And so seeing that, and so like she'll get younger boys be like, that girl's my age and she's super hot. I'm gonna go talk to her. She'll get like a lot of young boy attention. And then the moms always get weird looks. I'm like, why would you let your daughter dress like that? So it's always just funny situations. So I want to know this: does she have pubes? I know that is a rude question to ask any woman. Do you have pubes? Some I don't think it's a problem. I have friends. I'll be like, you have pubes, and they'll tell me. But to women you don't know, it's a good question. Like, do you have pubes? That's a good question. I'd like to know, because you don't know where she is on that. It was a good question. Like, if you were a gambling man, how much would you say that Shauna Rae has pubes? And it could go either way. I think it's a good question that could go either way.
What?
And yeah, so I think with that being said, yeah, I think it's a good question. Does she have pubes? What would it be like dating her? She says she's lost her virginity too, which I think is interesting. Because I would love to know that full story. This is like stories that are like personal to people. I'm like, I'd love for you to divulge that information on TV for my entertainment. And yeah, everyone go check out I Am Shauna Rae. I don't know how long this show is going to last, but it's interesting. It's an interesting concept, more interesting than the little people, big world concepts that we've been seeing forever. So yeah, the Learning Channel. When an enemy shoots at you, you pull out your Captain America shield. When Doc Ock attacks you on a bridge, you control the nanobots from your Iron Spider suit to control his arms. So why are you allowing all these websites to store your credit card information? The solution to that is today's sponsor, privacy. Privacy is the first payment product that keeps your personal information private while being even more convenient than using a physical payment card online. Privacy empowers you to protect your physical card information. Each merchant you share your card information with puts you more at risk to hackers or data breaches. Why not use a privacy card instead? By creating a virtual card with privacy for each merchant you shop with, your physical card is safe and secure. Privacy cards can be paused or closed at any time, preventing any future transactions from being authorized. Privacy cards can also be single-use, meaning they close after just one authorized transaction. One of my favorite ways to use privacy is for any service with a free trial that requires a credit card to sign up. But wait, there's more. By using our link in the description, you can get $5 to spend anywhere. That's money that you get to use. So start paying the smart way with privacy. And remember, when you use our links, you directly support this show. Anything can be delivered to you these days. Beds, bananas, bricks, and even boxes of beans. But what about alcohol? Yes, even alcohol can be delivered to you thanks to today's sponsor, Drizly. Drizly gets all your favorite beer, seltzer, wine, whiskey, and much more delivered directly to your home. With their easy-to-use mobile app, we are getting one step closer to never leaving our homes. You know it's saying something when it is being praised as the Amazon for liquor. Drizly is my go-to app for getting all the booze I need so I can do other things. So using our link in the description today, you can save $5 off your first purchase through Drizly. Drizly has proprietary ID verification technology that it provides to its retail partners that allow drivers to scan IDs for more than a barcode to make sure the purchaser is over 21 years old in the US and of legal drinking age in Canada. Retailers on Drizly may have a minimum order or delivery fee, so using our link in the description, get $5 off your first order with Drizly. And remember, when you use our links, you directly support this show. So now it's time for Ask Schweezy, the part of the show where I answer questions to solve the world problems and to realize what you are at the end of the day. And yeah, I don't know what else I have to say, but
Let's just jump into it.
so first question I got: how many abortions are too many? 3. But let's be serious for a second. I think 3 is my answer, though. FYI, I will say this. So yeah, I don't want to shame anyone. Is that a shame thing you can do? Abortion shame. But I don't know. You get to a point where, like, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on the abortion subject. You can get to a point where it's like, that's too many. There's a number there, regardless of viewpoints, and I think that number is 3. Because once you get to 3, like, if you have 2, it's just kind of like, oh, I made that mistake. Oh, I made that mistake again. But then a third time, though, it's like, yeah, take care of it. But at that point, it's kind of like, you need to figure out some sort of birth control. And that's always something I know with birth control, because for women have all these options, and men, the only thing men have is pulling out and condoms. Like, that's all men have. And so and condoms suck for I would say both parties, but a lot more for men. And, I always wonder about like women, because if they had a lot more male birth control, I would be searching up and down, far and wide, seeing what works for me. I would try out multiple different things until I find out something that works. And so, I do get women who do try, and like, it's just a lot of things like, I got really fat when I took, the pill, and NuvaRing didn't work or whatever. And stuff like that, it's like, and that's fine. At least you tried, and some women just don't try. They're like, I'm just not going to be on there. I'm just going to raw dog life, which is like crazy to me to think, because it's like, I even worry about like people I know. Like, I'm gonna wrap it and shit like that. And, I get worried about that. And so it's crazy to me that there's some like women who are just like, yeah, I'll go on raw and then I'll get another abortion, stuff like that. So I think the answer we all know. We all know the answer to this question. And the answer is 3. We all know 3 is too many. After 3, like, maybe get your tubes tied because because that sounds like I don't know a lot. I know a lot about abortion. I know you're sucking a fetus out, but at some point I'm like, can the female body handle 3 abortions? Like, I assume it could handle 2. It wouldn't be. I don't think it sounds pleasant to happen, but I feel like 2 would be like the body's limit. I don't think the body would want you to have a 3rd abortion. And if science allows a 3rd abortion, I guess I'll go for it. But I'm also speaking out of my ass right now about this. So this is not science right now. I'm just saying that I am full pro-choice. But I also think this is all 100% a woman's choice to decide what they want to do with it, because it's a man's choice to decide what they want to do with, like, they want to be the father or not. Like, that's the man's choice, but I 100% think it should be a woman's choice on whether or not they want to keep the baby. I think it's 100% on the woman's end of things, and they 100% get that choice, and I don't get that choice because it's not my body, because I can't, if I wanted to carry a baby, I'd try to figure something out. I've carried big poops, regardless of the situation. So, yeah, I guess that's how I'll answer it. 3 abortions is too many, but also, but after 2, maybe look into birth control or just something. Or maybe just stop letting guys raw dog you. I think that might be an answer too. Maybe be a little bit more exclusive to who you let in your vagina. Yeah, I guess. Is it okay to tell someone you only went out with a couple you don't want to pursue a relationship via text? This is a very interesting question and something that could be debated on regardless of who you are, what you are, and how you are. Because I know a lot of times you think about, like, if you're going to break up with someone, don't do it over the phone or over text. Do it in person. And so, because that would be the probably the best thing to do. And they're like, it's hard. I'm like, yeah, those conversations suck. It's not easy to have those conversations, but they have to happen, and they do happen, and it sucks dick. And I hate. Why did I use suck dick as a bad thing? Sucking dick's a good thing. So yeah. So here's the thing, though. Yeah, when you're in a serious relationship with someone, you're like you're going full throttle.
Let's go full throttle.
With someone, like, yes, obviously it would make sense that you do it in person. This is a person, from what it sounds like, you have to, I'll try to create a scale for you that would determine at what point would this be an appropriate situation for you. So looking at it, is it okay to tell someone, a couple times? If it was like 2 or 3 times, you're not really exclusive, and at no point was it ever determined that you're exclusive. I think actually text is probably the perfect thing to do it. Hey, I'm kind of don't think it's working out between us. I'm not really feeling it. Got a regret right now. I'm feeling it. Stuff like that. You can't be necessarily say you're feeling it. And I think a text, just be honest and be nice about it. Probably the good thing. However, if it's been like a couple months, like, it's probably better to do it in person. And even if you did go full throttle,
full throttle.
Obviously, yes, you have to you have to do it in person. But because like you've only been out with them a couple times, you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know this person very well. So I think it's okay to do it over text message in this situation. I would 100% suggest that you do, see what I did there, it in person, because you don't know how they're going to react to this situation. So that's what I will suggest for you. I think text message is good. Just be nice about it and be honest, because I think us dating today has lost a lot of honesty, and we just ignore our problems, which is not a good idea. I can tell you that ignoring your problems is definitely 100% not a good idea, and that's something you should probably look into not doing. And when you don't do something, it makes your life better. Makes your good part of your life a lot better. So yeah. Number 3, another question. If given the chance to talk to Donald Trump, what would you say? So this is a very interesting question. You would think, I have an audio or / video platform where I can have a guest on. I can sit down, talk with someone, and talk therefore about what's going on with their lives, what they're doing, and generally talk about them and actually sit down and do an interview with them. I think how I would interview Donald Trump would be somewhat different, because you would think, most people would probably think I would go in and try to bring up everything he does wrong. It's like, why are you so racist? Why are you so homophobic? Why are you orange? And stuff like that. So that's what people would think you do, and that's what people say they would do. But I don't think that's a good idea going forward to try and like interview someone. I would try to, I would kind of want to know what he's like. It's kind of a thing, like, what is he like just sitting down talking with him? Like, I'm not really trying to, because the entertainment is me and him having a conversation. And so he's not trying to necessarily perform. It's like sports, the sports people aren't like doing things to be entertaining. They're just playing the sport, therefore are being entertaining. So with me sitting down talking to someone on like a podcast type situation, the entertainment's already there. So neither of us have to actually try to be entertaining. We just have to make sure there's no lull. And there's a different way you talk to someone and have like a lull in the conversation. That said, so typically what I would do in this situation, sit down, just start random, I don't know, it's not small talk, but it's not large talk. I like to call it medium talk. TALK, not TOK, like TikTok. So I'd have medium talking with him, and just talk about things like that, and like try to get him to tell stories. I'll tell stories, a little bit back and forth, and eventually, typically stuff like that, it leads into bullshit. Like it's like, so is there like why do you want to like think Mexicans are a real problem? Like I know that like Trump Tower hires a lot of probably Latino people, and like a lot of maid service and stuff like that. Like, what's the problem with them? And then you'd be like, I don't really have a problem with them. Mainly, probably, it's a great way to convince workers, because a lot of low working class people, like you would say, working class people, think that their jobs are getting replaced by immigrants coming over to America who are willing to work cheaper and stuff like that. And so kind of getting them to rally on my side there. And that's kind of why I said, that's why I was like, build a wall so they can't come over. Be like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then I would come at it not trying to judge him. Maybe like telling up to it's like, but don't you think it could be a little racist? I'm like, well, maybe my fans are racist, but it's not really my intention. I was just trying to get them on my side. That's all I was really trying to do. So, it'd be a good conversation. That's kind of how I would lead into it. Start with some medium talking points, fun, get them really comfortable, and then try to get into the big things. Because a lot of times, you kind of have to get people comfortable. And it sounds like I'm being maniacal when I'm saying that. The real trick, though, when doing that, though, is that you want them to know, like, hey, you got to let them know, hey, I'm not going to, I'm a safe person to talk to in regards to that. So you can talk to me, and we can have this conversation. I'm not going to sit here and try to, do something sinister with, what we're trying to talk about right now. That's the main point. And, there's other things I could do, bring up as well. there's obviously, I would probably have some talking points I want to bring up, talk beforehand, but a lot of times if I was, sitting down, getting to interview him, I'd probably not try to prepare that much. I just want to see where the conversation goes and see what happens in between us, Yeah, just, we're just sitting down, we're just talking, and it's about conversations of being raw.
And I really like that.
So, yeah, I think that's how I would do that. I would not try to be like expose him because typically if I had the chance to interview him on like a podcast or something like that, I'd be like, how am I going to separate this interview from every other interview and every other public speech he's ever done ever? And that'd be stuff like that. And I'm not a fan of his. FYI, I should probably also say that. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. So I would not, I'm not going to like praise him for anything he's doing. I just try to understand him like, who is the guy behind the spray paint on the spray tan or whatever, that's key. That'd be like a thought process I'd have. Who is the man behind the orange? And sit there. I probably still think he's a piece of shit, FYI. Now it would not be hard to figure out. Like he'll probably still be. Don't probably be a little bit of a piece. You just think I'm a piece of shit. Dan flashes, get some sloppy steaks. Okay, that's too many references. But yeah, I think that's how I would deal with that situation. How do I lose weight with huge hunger urges? Hello, I am a overweight male teenager and hate it. Every day, I look at myself and hate it. I hate my body and everything about it. Every time I step outside, I cover up my upper body in fear of judgment from strangers. I'm scared that they laugh at me for my weight because that's how it's been ever since I was about 6. My mom always let out comments indirectly saying I'm fat. She wants me to lose weight so bad and goes overboard sometimes. I want to lose weight myself, but I can't. I always crave for something to eat and feel horrible afterwards. I hate my body and my brain for not letting me stop. I want to start working out, but I don't know where to start. Just saying this makes me embarrassed. If anyone can help me by giving me tips, I'd really appreciate it. I'll take anything at this point. Okay, so I've lost some weight. I'm still pretty fat, but I have lost some weight. So really here, hunger is a weird thing. One thing you do, and I really do think this, that dieting is way more important than working out. Like, I think you could lose a ton of weight by just changing how you eat. And yeah, but food is really good, and I'm not going to deny that. One thing I would suggest for you to do, not necessarily, just to get started, I would say, not necessarily something you need to necessarily is going to change anything. Start download some food app or whatever on your phone, like My Plate, I think is what I use, and just put in that app everything you eat just for a day. You don't have to start dieting or anything. Just put everything you eat in what you eat during the day, and then see it, and then see that you need to be kind of 2,000 calories a day or under that for to help with weight loss and stuff like that. And once you see that, you just kind of get an understanding of kind of what food is. Like, oh, this candy bar is 300 calories if I eat that. However, I could eat like this chicken breast or whatever, or chicken thigh, and that's less calories than that. You kind of understand how calories work and how it kind of works with your food. Some apps even help you with nutritional information. You have to really understand what fats, carbohydrates, and proteins are. You kind of get an understanding of that. You can kind of understand that too much carbs is carbs are like the bad thing that you don't want to eat. So you want to lower your amount of carbs, make it a good on fats and proteins. So those will help you lose weight as well, especially in your situation, like you're wanting to lose body fat. So eating more fats and protein will be more of a key than in lowering your carbohydrates a lot. But I know a lot of times with dieting, counting your calories 100% is what's better for you. So yeah, but then you realize some stuff is dense. Like you could technically, if you're going like on a keto diet or a low carb diet, you can eat as much cheese as you want. However, cheese is very calorie dense, and so you got to be careful on how much cheese you eat, because you could easily go over your calorie limit for the day if you eat a ton of cheese. So that's also an interesting factor. So those are just some ideas to help you lose weight. Hunger wise, I know that's a big thing. A lot of times you have to you eat your food, you're gonna be hungry, and you just gotta kind of power through it a little bit. Make sure you eat. Don't you're not gonna be malnourished. You have like a calorie. As long as you eat your food for the day, you're not gonna starve. Your body kind of has to adjust to a lower food limit. And so you're so used to eating so much food in a day, your body requires that. But once you go down to a smaller limit of food per day, your body's going to readjust to that. Make sure it's, the healthy amount, under the 2,000 calorie a day meal. After you go under that, and then your body's going to have to readjust, and your stomach's going to have to readjust for that. If you're really fat, you could always, gastric bypass may be something you may need to get in the future, but even doctors will have to have you start losing weight and start getting back on track. So you have to lose like fat around your liver or something like that. That's just one thing. In regards to judgment on your mom who is judging you and shit like that, just realize, those with your mom, it probably comes from her insecurities. Other people who, if any other person does it, it comes from their own insecurities. So don't worry about that, especially if they're not doing it to help you. They're just using it to shame you or whatever. Like if it's not like in a good friendly way, then the main reason behind that, their main reasoning behind everything is probably their own insecurities. So don't worry about them too much. If they're making comments, they're probably going something on their own. If your mom's getting find a problem with her. Make sure you just kind of store that in the back of your mind and bring it up when it gets really annoying. Those are just some ideas for you. Just wanting to help one fat person out from another. It's just a great way for you to learn who you need to be. I need a drink. That was a big one. Where the black people know how to sing and dance stereotype came from. I'm a white Latina woman that have been consuming American TV content my entire life and always noticed the specific stereotype in black characters. They're always singing and dancing like they're professional artists, sometimes even without any explanation. I've even seen some black people reinforce this by saying that white people can't dance, etc. Where does this come from? First of all,
Move, bitch, get out of my fucking way! It's Black History Month!
Happy Black History Month. Let's answer this question. In regards to stereotypes and shit like that, I may not be the best to answer that. However, I can answer in history of music and more artistic type of mediums. Basically, when we go to the United States, talk about that. We had segregation for the longest time, and so with segregation, it was also segregated in the music industry as well. So there were black artists who wrote their songs, and there were white artists. And a lot of times those songs didn't really cross over too much. Sometimes they did, sometimes they did. If you, Tutti Frutti was a song, and then you had this white group. I can't remember who did Tutti Frutti, but then a white group did it, and it was really bad. So I think it was Little Richard, am I right? Yeah. So like I said, segregation, it really separated shit like that. And then kind of Elvis came around, and Elvis's manager, I think his name was the Colonel, if I'm correct. He listened to the black music and was like, "This shit's really good. Why not sell this to a white audience?" And that's how Elvis became so super popular. So he never wrote any of his own music, but it was very much a product of segregation. I don't know if Elvis would have been as popular if segregation was the case. Probably, considering songwriters and stuff like that. So that's just a very interesting kind of thing. So when you talk about American genres, though, they all started through black or African American, whichever makes you feel better. Happy Black History Month. Always started from black communities. Jazz started from black communities. Rock started from those communities as well. And so basically when you talk about any genre of music that came from or started in the United States, you can always say it started from black people. They typically all started, and they all the roots always lead back to black people. And you're like, well, what about country music? That's for white people. It's comes from folk music, and black people did that too, And so it's just everything. So I always feel like it's weird to be racist in music because like it all comes from black people anyways. And, like Kid Rock's being like super racist now, and let's go Brandon, and like he's like he's doing like a rap rock type thing, and like where rap and hip hop comes from, black people. And so I think with the stereotype, I would say it goes because black people, like, they're always going to be better at music in the United States, at least, than white people. And so it's just maybe a stereotype that they're all like always just better musicians overall than white people. So I think that's going to be that's the main answer I really have for this question. There's probably more stereotypes, but yeah, and then you hear like white people, just untalented white people. I think that's just the situation on that. Why do people love animals over other people? I get it. Most of our generation is screwed over, millennials and stuff. It's too expensive to live, let alone care for a kid. But I actually think that's a cop-out. People, at least in my country, live way above their means. They just don't want to sacrifice their living standards to raise a babe. And they compensate with Kara and dogs. This is gonna be hard to read. I hear things like babies are too hard to travel with, babies stink and shit. Babies are loud, babies are too annoying, but the same people who say that get vaccines, passportes, and cages to travel with pets, pick up dog shit with their hands, have a home that stinks like a barn because the dogs bark. Babies aren't your problem. Let's just admit that having a partner is less stable. Babies are a large responsibility, and we are scared for that commitment, rather than hate on the little fellers. I think that's a good question. It's a good thought. But I think overall, though, there's a lot of good points to what you said. Why do people love animals over people? I feel like there's, I feel like animals are easier to take care of. 100%. A dog is easier to take care of than a baby. You don't leave your baby at home for 8 hours in a day while you go to work, but you will leave a dog even in a kennel for 8 hours while you go to work. So like there's a difference already. Like one sounds easier than the other. Traveling seems different because you have to worry about the baby's mood and stuff like that. With dogs, it's 50-50 because, it's like, will the dog bark on this plane? Can I carry it? Is the dog small enough I can carry with me, sit in my lap, put under the seat? There's a lot of things like that. So they're different, but I overall say dogs have to be way easier than a baby. Dogs bark. Sometimes you can get a dog to stop barking. It's hard to control a baby. It's harder to control a human being. Cats are way easier than everything. The cats you just feed them and hopefully they're healthy and it's not a problem. But I think more people love animals more than people because it's easier for them at a point in their life to have a more idea to have a dog over like having a child, because sometimes maybe you need a partner to have a baby and you don't have a partner, so it's like, well, I can get a dog and that'll fill that itch or whatever. It's just that's the situation I think that people have, and so that's why people are saying stuff like that. So that's my answer there. And our final question: why do people hate people with a foot fetish? That's a good question. As we know, I have a friend, TJ. He has a foot fetish, and he would love it if you send him pictures of your feet on Instagram at Mar Audio. He would love it if you send him pictures of your feet. He would absolutely love it. I don't think that people hate necessarily people with foot fetishes. I think they hate how open people are with their foot fetish. Like, I want you, hey, like, you drive up, you see a girl, you like, hey, can I buy your socks? Like, well, I've been sweating in them. That's perfect. And then you buy socks from a girl on the street. Like, they're way too open about their fetishes. And I think that's the real thing with foot fetishes, is that people are way too open about their fetishes. And it's weird. No one needs to know your sexual fetishes. And I think that's okay. Like, if you have a fetish, you can keep it to yourself. The only time they matter is between you and the person you're fucking. And that's the problem. People are way too open to the foot fetishes. Like, how are people making a living? Like, they're paying bills and rent and stuff like that from selling pictures of their feet. how like more people are into that. Like, I wish I could get off to just someone's feet. You know, I have to have two devices, one with my regularly scheduled porn that I look at, and then another with that video of Ed Asner being like,
Come on, Mark, don't be stingy.
And-
Man proposes and God disposes.
And-
That's my hole. That's where it spits.
coaching me through it, and I need that. And I also take antidepressants, like I've mentioned, and it makes it so hard for me to even do anything in the first place. And so it's just rough. And then some people are just like, I just need a picture of someone's feet and I'm good to go. Like, you could just look at a woman and you could like just be walking outside, see a woman in flip flops, you're like, all right, I can jerk off now. Like, I mean, and maybe that's my just jealousy there. But everyone's built a little different. I'm built different. You're built different, ... from me. And with that said, that's how we're ending the show today. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cancel Schweezy, the Lord's trademark favorite podcast. Like I said, go follow me on all the music platforms at TheSchweezy. That'll be at TheSchweezy everywhere. And you can also check out me on social media at TheSchweezy, my new game streaming page, Schweezy Live. I need you all to go follow and subscribe to that channel so we can get things going full throttle as well. You can also financially support the show on Patreon. And don't forget the free shit you can do if you're watching this show on YouTube. You can like the episode, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment on your thoughts and opinions on all the things I've been saying throughout this episode. If you're on the audio-only platform, you can always still share the show, but leave a review, press the subscribe button, leave us a star rating, whatever you feel like I deserve. So with all that being said, we're ending the show today. Honk if you love butt drugs, and stay awesome. Believe it or not, Schweg isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out or I'd pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home. Hey, you just finished a full episode of Cancel Schweezy. Thank you so much. Wherever you are listening or watching this show, make sure you smash that subscribe button that we can get notified anytime we release new episodes. And like I said before, honk if you love butt drugs, and stay awesome.